Hello YouTube and welcome to our next war recap video. It's been a busy week and there's been a few wars going on in the background, and as you can see it's been a sea of green. We are onto our record war win streak of 11, which is feeling pretty good in the clan, and since our last video we've warred against a few clans. We came out on top against Ukrainia and Dracos Domain. Didn't capture any vids from those, but we do have a few vids to show you today from Gladiator. Some nice attacks to look at there, so let's get right into it. We'll do a separate video on Kings of Persia because that was kind of an interesting war for a few different reasons as well, but let's check out the war against Gladiator, if the Wi-Fi will play ball with us. Reasonably comfortable victory in the end, a good war from everybody. Let's check out, they brought some good attacks. They tripled a couple of our Town Hall 10s, and pretty solid attacks on our Town Hall 9s, but they did leave quite a lot of stars on the board at Town Hall 9. They struggled with our 9s, if I'm honest, but they some nice hits from their 10s. We got 2s on most of their 10s and 11s, a couple of triples on their lower Town Hall 10s, and most of their 9s cleared up. I think there was one 9 that slipped through the cracks. So solid war from everybody. Let's check out how we all did. Some solid hits from Major, lovely triple from Prodigy on number 9, another one from yours truly on number 8 towards the end of the war, and solid attacking all round. No 6-packs this war, but Andrew came really close with 199, so very unlucky there, and also Najim with 94 and 100 as well, so some really close attacks. Minor Major. And so towards the bottom there are quite a lot of 6-pack attacks. That's because they had a lot more Town Hall 8s than us, and our lower Town Hall 9s ended up doing a lot of dipping, so these are actually all dip attacks. So some solid cleanup work from at the bottom of the spectrum. So let's, without further ado, check out our attacks, and as usual we'll go top down. I thought this one would be interesting for us to look at. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to play these at 1 time speed, so we've got a little bit more time to talk about the attacks. The key thing about this base here, we're just clearing out some trash, is that central compartment that houses both Infernos and the Expo and the Town Hall. Anytime I see a base like that, it's just a magnet for, if you can jump your bowlers into that central compartment, because bowlers throw rocks that damage 2 defences in a row, you can pretty much take out the entire base from that central compartment. That's the goal here. Because there are single Infernos, it's a bunch of giants. I think there's 10 giants rather than golems, because single Infernos will just eat golems, whereas the giants will give us some nice shielding. So it's just about building a funnel on either side. Having dealt with the CC troops, some bowlers in the CC, and a few more of my own, couple of free spells for those Infernos, 2 rages, one to get them into the core and one to get them through the core. The next thing you know, everything in the core is down, most of the bowlers are still happy, and this is where it just all takes off. So those bowlers just do absolute work. The splash damage from those bowlers just completely wrecking defences 2 deep. And because of the way this base is designed, by the time you've taken out that inner compartment and everything 2 deep around it, there's pretty much nothing left of the base. So we'll speed up at this point. This is actually an army that I use a lot for raiding. I don't normally take CC troops, so I normally do this without the extra bowlers, so that's always a nice little bonus when doing war attacks, but it works very well for raiding as well. So if you use Town Hall 10 and you've got access to bowlers, maybe worth checking out. Okay, let's check out our next attack. This is Prodigy coming in on, and it's another early Town Hall 10, much like the last one. A little bit different base design though, in the sense that there isn't one big compartment, but Prodigy goes, well, that's okay, if I drop a couple of jump spells I'll turn that into one big central compartment anyway, and then we can pretty much do the same thing. So a bunch of giants with healers to keep them up. They are in range of that single target Inferno, but the only job of these giants is to distract that Inferno while we're building a funnel for our main kill squad, which is a bunch of bowlers. So giants doing a good job there. Remember, only one of them is being targeted by the Inferno, so the heal is working on the rest of them. Early rage spell, That helps the wizards and Archqueen deal with those CC troops whilst they're under poison. A freeze for the second Inferno. Whilst all the troops are taking that jump spell, they all get through. That second Inferno goes down under that second rage spell. Got a bunch of bowlers left, and you'll just see everything just starts being demolished by splash damage from those bowlers going too deep across this base. King's doing great work. He's charging out in front, soaking up lots of damage. Got a few healers on him. Can be a little bit unpredictable, this attack. It all starts off with a bunch, 4, 5, 6 healers, whatever, healing up your squad, whether that usually starts off on some giants and then a few on the Archer Queen. As the raid progresses and things start to split up, where the healers end up can be a little bit of potluck. Sometimes, like here, they switch back onto the Queen, that's nice. Sometimes they switch onto bowlers, that's fine too. So generally, whichever way the healers decide they want to play, it works out okay. Occasionally, they will just pick a lone giant to heal. That's a bit unlucky, but it doesn't happen that often. They're generally reasonably well behaved. So Prodigy is just smashing this base. He hasn't even used his Queen's ability, keeps it in the bag, hasn't used either poison spells, and still completely wrecks the base. So just superb job. Those bowlers under rage are just absolutely crushing. Okay, up next, let's check out JJ. Coming in with a kind of interesting base, looks sort of similar to a town base you see at Town Hall 10. So JJ comes in with a couple of hogs here, and I think these hogs are aiming to get the lure, but as you'll see, they get distracted onto that mortar, and then the Queen steps out and takes them out. So I think maybe looking at where the if they were to try and lure the CC, probably a better option would have been to bring them up onto this archer tower here, and then they would have pathed onto this archer tower, and the Queen and the King wouldn't have been in range. So it's just worth thinking about where the Archer Queen can reach when you're luring hogs. But in the meantime, JJ is doing a lovely job of coming in, taking out the CC. He's got the Archer Queen down. He's got bowlers funneled into the core of the base, and anytime you see that at Town Hall 9, it just spells disaster for the defending base. Because if you've got bowlers in the core of a base at Town Hall 9 and you've got a rage spell, which JJ still has, they do so much damage, and the fact that they splash or bounce, whatever you want to call it, Town Hall 9 bases just aren't big enough to cope with that, and it just wrecks them. So nice use of hogs in from the side, a little bit unlucky with the giant bomb placements in this base, so loses most of his hogs, but it's not going to matter. He's still got his core troops up. He's got a bunch of giants. He's still got bowlers. He's got his queens on full health. He's got healers keeping everything up and happy. His giants are doing a good job of taking out defences. They're also helping to bash through walls, because giants has to do a reasonable amount of damage when you've got a group of them. His king does go down. That actually works out quite nicely, because it lets the healer pop over and give all those giants a nice boost of health just before the archer tower takes down the healer. So that's just going to be enough to keep them happy and healthy. Just a little bit of cleanup left. We'll speed up a little bit here. Again, those bowlers still doing work in taking out building after building. They do eventually go down. The Queen comes in, helps with taking out the wall. Loses a few giants to Springtrap. That's the only downside of giants compared to golems, but it doesn't matter. Still has the Queen, plenty of health left, and only one building, and gets the job done. A very nice attack, JJ. Alrighty. Dropping down one, Bazza coming in on their number 12, and this I thought was a lovely HGHB. So just really nice funnel, drops a single baby drag, gets good value from it. It's just doing absolute work on that resource storage. A minion just to help with the funneling there. So nice choice of troop to help with the help with the funneling here, because there isn't really that much that can hurt this baby drag. Drops a bunch of giants down, spreads a few extra wizards out just to help accelerate the funnel a little bit. The giants are going to beat through that wall without any trouble at all. In come the heroes. That baby drag is actually still up, I think. comes the first rage spell. King's going to come in and help take out the queen, or the enemy archqueen. Poison into anticipation of CC troops. So nicely planned attack in terms of anticipating where everything's going to be deployed. Rage spell, a couple of hogs just sprinkled in from the side here. The rage and the poison, all the troops in the middle and the wizards take care of the CC without too much difficulty, and the kill squad just keeps working its way through the base. The healer's doing a lovely job of keeping all those giants nice and healthy. That's just forming a nice little shield for the bowlers and the hogs and the king and queen just to do their work. Everything is looking really good. The healers are now actually starting to heal the hogs as well, as because the hogs have caught up with the rest of the troops, so that's actually working out really nicely. Hogs run a little bit ahead, that's not such a bad thing because they are going to help take down some of these defences. That's just going to keep the rest of the troops up even more. And now there's just one compartment with troops left. By the looks of that compartment, it's designed to be anti-vault because there's a few point defences and then a couple of wizard towers for splash. It's not going to help here because just too many troops. Those giants are soaking up all the damage. The queen's just taking out point defense after point defense, and in a moment they're going to break through that wall, and those giants and bowlers will have no difficulty at all taking out those couple of wizard towers. So really nice attack, nicely planned and executed, and just a lovely HGHB. Nice job, Bazza. Okay, again, keying that raid, and bowlers in the core of the base, and then giving them some protection. Okay, very nicely done. Let's check out Andrew with a bit of an old school style base. Andrew's kind of looked at this and gone, well, there isn't really anywhere that for double giant bombs to be, so this is going to be a good base to hog. Doesn't have a ton of hogs, only 11 hogs, but when you've got golems and so forth to tank for your hogs, you don't need 20-30 hogs. That's kind of very old school way of doing a go-ho attack, so you can get away with a smaller number of hogs provided you've got enough other troops to soak up some of the damage and distract defenses. So Andrew is doing it here with a queen walk to help with the CC kill, but she's also obviously going to go on and start taking out defenses as well, so that's going to be quite nice. So she's on one side of the base here, and then he's going to come in with a hog on the other side, and you can see the queen's going to take out a couple of trash buildings, and then she's going to walk straight into a bunch of defenses and start cleaning them out. So that's going to be nice work. For the hog, he's brought a single golem. Look at the value he gets for this golem. And the reason that he gets good value for this golem is twofold. One is he's brought a jump spell to help the golem get into the core of the base, even though unfortunately it walked around the side. And secondly, look at where he's deploying his hogs from. He's deploying his hogs from behind where the golem is. So that means that all those defenses are shooting at the golem and not the hog. If you deploy them from the opposite side of the base, which I do see sometimes, to where the kill squad is and where the golem is, quite often there's a bunch of point defenses there that are not targeting anything, and they start shooting the hogs. So it keeps a few hogs up his sleeve, brings those in on the back just to help with the cleanups. Nice placement of heal spell in the core. He's been healing up all sorts of things in there. The golem has eventually backtracked and has joined the rest of the fray. He's losing a few hogs here to the enemy barbarian king, but not enough to stop the raid. He had just one last heal spell just to help those last couple of hogs, and at this point there's no defenses left. He's got a few wizards which he's deploying on cleanup duty. Catches a giant bomb on the outside of the base. In fact, there's a couple on the outside of the base. Doesn't pose him any threat. And look, that golem's still alive, so it just goes to show it didn't need a second golem. Got really nice value from his queen. She basically took out one side of that base in terms of defenses, so nice attack and nicely planned. Okay, one more which we'll talk through. Number 20, Jib, and these are pretty low level walls. It's a very early Town Hall 9, but there's one thing in particular that I thought Jib did really nicely here, which is worth maybe talking about, and I'm sure the attack is actually going to start at some point rather than the clock just tick down. So okay, so Jib's coming in with a couple of golems sprinkling wizards around the outside to help build the funnel, all standard stuff. A couple of wall breakers in the core. Nice that he didn't spread his golems too wide, because that meant that they've both made use of the wall break, which is quite nice. Now he does have a jump spell here, and he chooses not to deploy it at this point, which initially I thought was a little bit worried about, but actually it's actually very clever, because he's realised, knowing what was in the CC, he realised the CC troops would draw his Valks through that first wall, which is very nice. He's dropped a jump spell now to help everything get through the rest of the base. That was really nicely planned. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, but there's so much going on, was the use of poison spell and heal spell at the same time. So poison spell for the CC and heal spell for the Valkyries. It's a great way of ensuring your Valkyries don't go down to a balloon drop from the CC. So a nice spell timing and placement. Nice realization that the CC troops would help with the Valkyrie funneling into the base, and that means that you could get more value out of your own jump spell. So that was really nicely done. Got a heal spell here for the back of the base, just keeping things going. There's nothing really shooting at you've got a bunch of Valks running around the outside. There's nothing really shooting them that's going to cause them that much grief. He's still got both of his golems on reasonably full health. It's possible that you might have got away with maybe only one golem instead of two, and possibly brought either a couple of extra Valks or maybe some hogs or some balloons, depends on what you fancied. It does depend a little bit on the base and what you're doing, because you've had jump spells and you've got them into the core. You do tend to get good tanking value from it, but Queen goes down right at the end, and plenty of troops to burn through that low level wall and take out the last remaining defense. So some nice clean attacks, well planned attacks from everyone in this war, so that was very pleasing to see. Another good result. Plenty of triples, and as always 3 stars are what tends to make the difference in war. So I hope you all enjoyed that one. I hope there was some good stuff in there, and maybe some things that you think about in terms of your own plans and troop composition, and we'll see you on the next video. In the meantime, clash on.